Happy Friday, guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Dubs. I'm your host, Bill T. Well, back this week from Medford, Oregon, and got lots of stories to tell, and I thought I would bring Johnny Boy on this week, and we just do kind of a wrap-up show. But before we get to that, I want to make sure you guys understand to support our sponsors. Go check out Ross Wolf, high-quality aftermarket parts made by high-quality VW people. So Jared and Jason have a strong commitment to high-quality parts. Make sure you go check out their website at rosswolf.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to VW Trends Magazine. Not the same old stuff you see every month on the shelf. Water-cooled how-tos and all kinds of stuff, and it's available at VWTrendsMagazine.com. So go subscribe to VW Trends Magazine. As you guys know, we were just down in Medford, and we're going to be bringing Johnny Osmondson on and talk about that whole trip and go through all that. But before we get into that, I wanted to remind you guys, if you haven't set up your rooms for one crazy weekend, go now to letstalkdubs.com and set up your rooms right now, because if you don't set your rooms up, I promise you they'll be sold out. So go to letstalkdubs.com, click on the One Crazy Weekend tab. There will be a discount code to get your rooms. Heck, even if you're not sure you're going, book your room, block it in place. And if you decide you're not going, DM me a couple days before, say, hey, Bill, here's my reservation number, and we can switch it out to somebody else, but at least we get the rooms blocked off for other VW people. So it's not a bad move to do, and you'll always have a backup to go there. I know there's a lot of events going on in October. Unfortunately, you know, it's the weekend I get from the hotel, so it is what it is. So you got to flip a coin, figure out which one to do, but you don't want to miss the world-famous strip cruise with all the Volkswagens on there, as well as the poker run with your chance to win $1,500 in cash. Total prizes given away $2,000. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to see a lot of smiling faces over here, and we're going to have a good time. October 6th and 7th. Let's Talk Dubs in the Wagon, bring you One Crazy Weekend, sponsored by Finley Volkswagen. So you guys make sure you check that out. But without any further ado, guys, we're going to get into it this week. The Volks Group Summer Showdown 1, the first event in Medford, Oregon on Let's Talk Dubs.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen. It's got everything that people who like the bug like. So if you happen to see a good-looking Volkswagen, don't panic.
Johnny, what up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thank you for having me.
Hey, so welcome back to the podcast. I know you were earlier on episode 184. If you guys don't know who Johnny Osmondson is, go get yourself the issue of VW Trends that's out there, and he'll probably be coming out in Hot VW soon, or just search Gray Bug on 1320 on YouTube, and you'll find out who Johnny is. Right? You're in a ton of videos online, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's a bunch of the cash day stuff that you do, like the Texas 2K, and what are some of the other ones that you're on there?
Mainly just the street racing stuff. There's a couple from California, Southern California, and then recently we've been doing a lot of the no prep into the track stuff. So there's a few videos out there.
And ironically, the first time I heard about you was when I went up to when I went up to Eureka last year at that time it was a Fast Four Cartel event in Medford, Oregon. Went there, and I was talking to my buddy George McCalloch, and he's like, bro, you don't know who Johnny is? And I was like, no, dude, and what's interesting is George never raced his car, but he knew who the racers were, right? So we'll just note that for later. But but George told me about you, my buddy George up there in Sacramento, and then I kind of tracked you down. We did the first podcast, which was podcast 184, and we got all the story about your car. And one of the things, I'm not a big drag race guy myself. I've been mostly going to the shows, stuff like that. Never really had a drag car up until recent to go do anything with. And it was always kind of a street car. So you and I kind of hit it off from there. You came to One Crazy Weekend. You kind of checked out the VW world for a little bit and were well received, had a good time. I mean, after we first met, and it was probably one of the first, you go to VW shows and stuff all the time, but they're kind of just park, show your car, and that's it, right? What was your experience when you went to One Crazy Weekend last year?
I've told everybody I've run across, as far as the Arizona VW guys, that was the best show I've ever been to. I can't stand car shows, even though I'm part of a VW club, ironically. To me, it's absolutely boring just to sit there and listen to everybody talk about polishing their Fuchs. I mean, I'm sorry if I hurt feelings, but I had a blast in Vegas. I mean, everybody was chill, laid back. I mean, it was a good environment. And then the cruise and just the interaction, like it wasn't like your normal cliques of people sitting in front of their cars in lawn chairs. You know what I mean? Like it was a really good time. All the people were pretty stand up.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things with One Crazy Weekend, right? It's like it was a new batch of people when we kicked it off. It was October. It was year of COVID, and I was like, "To heck with this, we're doing a show." So we did a show, and a bunch of people it was mostly podcast listeners that showed up, and that's kind of the core group that's built from there. And now every year it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And we were super stoked to see you show up last year. And then there's pretty much a crowd around your car the whole weekend because it's such a unique looking car. It's not your typical super pretty drag car that everybody's like, oh yeah, must be nice to have a ton of money and build, a big expensive drag car. Because your drag car, you've built that whole thing out of pocket, right?
Yeah, man, pretty much. We like just recently we've had a few companies jump on board to help out. But I mean, yeah, other than that, everything's been side jobs and staying up till 3 a.m. every night trying to work on it because we don't have the funding that a lot of guys do. But it's funny when we go out there and we can run with the best of them.
And I mean, your background, you've been street racing for years in your bug. And you kind of never started going down the path of like drag racing at the track because it was too many rules, or it was like too many rules, too far apart, too like what was it?
I mean, dude, track racing's always been for us. It was just extreme, again, just like the car show did fit. Sorry if I offend people, but it's boring waiting an hour just to go another round. You know what I mean? And then like the rules and regulations as far as like being around the starting line and being actually a part of the racing. That's what we liked about the street racing is you can be up close, personal, gambling on the starting line, talking crap with your buddies. Like to me, I grew up in that environment as far as on the street racing, and I had no desire to go to the track at all. I just, it wasn't necessarily the rules. It was just, it wasn't the same environment, I guess. Just
it's kind of
it, I guess.
Yeah. I've always seen, street racing for good or bad, right? Everybody runs, whether you got a slow car or a fast car. But for the most part, like when we say the real street races, it's usually the fast cars that run at the real street races because the slow guys don't get there. But sometimes I know here in Vegas for a while they had street racing going on, and then Fast and Furious comes out, and every dude shows up with his mom's 4-door Honda, and they're racing four abreast. They're racing four abreast down the street, and I was just kind of at a point where I had young kids at the time. I'm like, bro, this is lame. It's not even the same that it used to be. And I used to take my street bug out there with wheel adapters and a roof rack and a subwoofer box and street race that thing. And, it was nothing super crazy, but as time went on, things changed and the quote unquote real street racing got more exclusive, right? Like you had to be a guy with a really fast car, and B, you had to be in the know of knowing where that's at. Now you dipped out of the scene for a minute and came back. When you came back to the scene, cars were way faster. Like,
oh yeah, man, these guys are running bottom fives, high fours on the street now. Like when you go through Texas, these V8 cars are running 490s on the street. It's insane.
And is everybody pretty much on those cash days, all stuff? They're running a marked out 8th mile. Yeah,
so it's 660 8th mile flashlight start. And basically, if you jump, the only rules are for small tire. So to break it down, like Midwest, 29, 10, 5 and smaller is considered small tire. Anything out west is 28, 10, 5 and smaller. And then no wheelie bars. So other than that, like it has to be a steel roof, steel quarters. But I mean, anything else is fair game. I mean, you can cut it up, lighten it up, carbon fiber, everything, as long as the roof and quarters are steel and you got a 28-inch tall tire.
Now, when you came back to the scene, I mean, by trade, you work on diesels and stuff like that. So you could build an all-wheel drive truck that's super fast, right? I mean, what made you after being out of the scene for a while? What made you just go back to your roots and do especially when they're that fast, right? I mean, it used to be the Volkswagens were always like the secret weapon at the track, right? And then cars started getting super quick, being manufactured. I mean, back in the day when the 90 Mustang was out, that car's pushing 235 horsepower, and a Volkswagen with 120 horsepower is going to give it a run for its money due to power to weight ratio. But when you get back in the scene, you go right back to Volkswagens.
Yeah, man. I mean, the great car, like I said before, was my first car. I'll never get out of that. And I mean, basically, we just keep pushing because we're the only ones. I mean, I know there's other people that race their cars, but we're the only ones that are competitively street racing across in the country that I know of. And I mean, I still stand by what I said. If there's another Volkswagen that wants to get down on the street, I have no problem driving. Like, we can go run for some money and bragging rights, whatever. But I mean, I like that we're different because when you go to these street races, even when you go to the tracks now, everywhere you look, it's Fox body. The Fox body with an LS swap. I mean, occasionally you got the old school dudes, you know, with a mullet and a Chevelle or a Camaro, but for the most part, like I said, you see the same car everywhere you go, and not knocking them because they work. They're extremely fast. They work well with an LS. So, like, I understand why people do it, but I just wanted something different. And I mean, like I said, I love Volkswagen, so that's where we're at. We're going to keep going until we can.
And so when I went up there to that first event up north and got kind of pushed your direction to kind of take a look and see who Johnny Osmondson was. And then you came to the show, we kind of hit it off, we became buddies. And I said, look, man, if you want to go up there next time, let me know. The next event, it didn't work out for us schedule wise, but luckily enough, this event worked out, and it was kind of, hey, are we going to go? Yeah, we'll go. And then we don't talk for a couple weeks. And then I call you on the Monday that week. I'm like, hey, we're still going, right? You're like, oh yeah. If you're ready, I'm ready, dude. So you had to do a 7-hour drive to my place in Vegas. So you come out of Tucson to Vegas. That's 7 hours. And then you get a couple hours sleep. We wake up 5 o'clock in the morning and we're headed for Medford, Oregon, which was a nonstop's a 13-hour drive.
It probably took us 16 hours? Because we stopped a couple times. We stopped at Summit and a couple other spots.
It took us like 16 hours because what we ended up doing is we stopped for breakfast in Tonopah, and
that's true.
We stopped at breakfast at Tonopah. We stopped in Reno at Summit to get some supplies because you needed a new filter and some
fuel filter and some other things like that.
Well, and don't forget, we also had some vehicle issues with my Dodge. We started getting an issue with the
DEF.
Yeah, the DEF nonsense. So that started being a problem. So we, it was like everything was popping up to delay us getting there. But, we ended up getting there, and I think we rolled into town about 9:30 at night. Yeah, we rolled in, kind of parked our trailer. We got prime parking. Jeff, JK just kind of set us up right there, premier parking, and him
and Tom were like, you guys are right up front.
Oh yeah, and that was so cool, man. And really, shout out to those guys, JK and Tom, Kenny. I mean, they kind of rolled out the red carpet for us, got us dialed in, and got us a good spot. And then, right out of the gate, let's not get all into the red car that I'm sure everybody saw, that everybody's still talking. They're probably all still talking about it. Something
fastest car there
in the mid-8s, bro. I don't mean to brag, but I'm getting a 4-finger ring made right now. It says mid-8s. And and so, what was cool is when we got there, you were able to pull the car off the trailer and you just kind of banged out your first hit. That's the cool thing, right? Like the owners of the track, they're like racer guys. You know what I mean? So it's like they're down and they were just like, yeah, go ahead, hit it on the track one time. And right out of the trailer, I was watching that again today because I posted that one on Instagram. I watched that first run and I'm thinking, man, that thing, for being cold right out of the trailer, just kind of hooked. It went dead straight, and it was booking, man. What was it like the first time? Was that the first time your car has been on a track like where the tree is?
Yeah, that's the first time I ever left on like an actual tree. Basically, we went out there. I left the suspension set up kind of tight in the front, which was actually too tight for that track from our last street race, but. Basically, we unloaded it, warmed it up, and on 16 pounds of boost with very, very moderate timing, it went 595 at 120. And I would really wish it wouldn't have spun in first and second because it probably would have been a 560 pounds off the trailer.
Yeah, and that was hugely impressive. And then we started battling some gremlins at that point because you're trying to dial in the suspension, and of course the next morning you get to do a pass on it. I think we only made one pass on Friday night, and then
one pass Friday night and then 2 on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday was test and tune, and they brought out some kind of T bucket or something that had a what was the setup?
Twin turbo small box Chevy with a glide. That was a cool little truck. It was like a 30s Chevy.
Yeah,
chop top.
and that was a fast truck, and he'd come out there to do a quote unquote exhibition pass.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
agree. So he wanted to grudge race with us, which I didn't realize that we were grudge racing on that pass. I seen him pull up, and I mean that was our second pass. So I don't know if you remember, we loosened up the front suspension and took a little bit of compression out of the rear, and that's when the car did the wheelie. So we went a little too far.
yeah, so that car right out of the gate, it pulled the front wheels. I mean, I'm saying 200 feet.
No, it was only about 100 foot is where it came down, because the white stripe on the track's a 60 foot. We were about 30, 40 feet past that. So it didn't go quite that far. Yeah.
100 foot, and it was pulling to the left a little bit, headed to the wall. So otherwise, maybe we could have went a little longer. I mean, it was cool, but it would have been cooler if you'd have hooked and got that truck, because I think you'd have been ran. What'd that truck run? What'd the truck end up going through?
He ran a 540.
Okay.
But I mean, I believe his mile an hour was like 123 or 124. So I mean, we definitely would have been right there on his door. I mean, we're gonna do it again though. I spoke with the guy who runs the track, and he's gonna be coming out here to Arizona for one of our races. So probably gonna get that grudge race back in.
Is that his truck?
Yeah, that's his truck. He was letting the son drive.
So the guy that runs the track, that was his truck. Oh,
that's his personal. He no prep races, so he's actually pretty well known. West Coast and like Northwest, like he does it every weekend just like we do.
Now, for people that don't know what no prep racing is, what is no prep racing?
So there's different variations of it. Like we like water burnout out here in Arizona. So basically, you go to a road. I mean, we try to be as safe as possible, but it's 8 miles, 660 feet, and then you do burnout and water only. No, there's no glue. So most tracks have VHT or something sprayed down on them that makes it sticky. It's like a mouse trap essentially on certain tracks when you go to, and it's just to aid in traction. So what we do on the street is we'll do a water burnout. So basically you actually have to know what you're doing. You actually have to be able to set up your suspension and a few other things to make them, go A to B. And then you got other guys that do what's called puddle burnout. So they'll take like a mixture of VHT and MEK, which is two like chemicals that they're sticky. So essentially it's like you do your burnout in the glue, and whatever you drag out of that burnout, you back into your rubber, and that becomes, what you can use. And by the end of the night on a no prep race, it's just as sticky as a drag strip. So that's why it's crucial for us. You'll see any of the races we go to, we'll try to race the fastest guy there first round, because that's really our only shot. As these cars get faster throughout the night, technology, I mean, our odds kind of go away from us. So
right. So really,
for the most part,
a cold pass is the best thing for you guys, like right out of the gate, and just and grab it and go before the track gets too sticky, and you can really utilize your power to weight ratio.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah, it was definitely, that first pass, the first pass you did of the night, that just kind of see what the car would do on the track. Like I said, it was your first time on a tree, and the tree was a little bit different, because it's like the stage and pre-stage come on, and then it's like you're sitting there looking at ding, 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 like versus like bang. You're used to like a flashlight start.
Exactly. So I mean, like I didn't really care about the reaction time on a test pass. I just wanted to get some data, because like I said, we're still really new to the fuel injection setup on the car. So getting an A to B pass is more valuable than trying to like cut a reaction time. But I mean, we're more used to like the staging, the guy flagger staging you, and once you're ready to go, like you're looking for a light. You're not counting down, trying to cut like a sportsman tree or a pro tree or something like that. Like that's definitely new to us.
Yeah, that's more my wheelhouse. I mean, I'm gonna say I'm semi-pro after like my first round.
Hell, look how far you went.
And I'm mad because I broke the training. But we'll get into the glory of the Red Rooster in a little bit. But right now, we're just talking about the overall event. So, really getting out there, doing that first pass, your second pass. What was interesting to me, right, not being a street racer, is we go back to the pits, and then the front wheels came off the ground. So for your next pass, you pop the hood and you reduce the rebound in your front shocks, which was surprising to me, because I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense, because you would think that you would stiffen up the rear versus tighten up the front. You know what I mean?
No, so when you stiffen up the rear, the wheelie will actually get more aggressive. If the tire plants with a stiffer end, I mean, there's nothing to absorb that energy. It's just going to climb the ring gear, and you're gonna go over. So by slowing down the front end, you actually make the car heavier on the axis. So like with your car with no front shocks, it'll take the energy of the spring when you launch. It'll just keep pushing it up, and that's why you accelerate like you do. So if you strap the front end down, essentially you're taking all the weight on the front of the car, and it's taking more effort from the torque in the car to move it.
Yeah, it's part of a learning curve, and I kind of got into it with Ron Loomis when we talked for a little bit about how critical getting a car to hook up is in being quick, right? Because you can spend so much energy just moving the body versus planting the car and getting forward. Yep.
So
that was that was interesting to me to see that, and then you make the third pass. So the third pass you make, tell me about that one.
So our first pass was a 137 60 foot. The second pass, when I did the wheelie, was a 130 60 foot. And then our third pass after adjusting the suspension, that was a 121 60 foot. So it progressively got better. But so during the wheelie, I pedaled the car 2 or 3 times to bring the front end down. And during that, it lifted the cylinder head and we didn't catch it. You can actually see on the video there's like a wisp of smoke out of the 1.2 side. So when I came back to the pits, the car was running fine, so I cooled it down. And then on the third pass, the damage was already done. So as soon as I clicked it into third gear, it torched the head. That's that video with the big flame and everything.
And we spent probably the next couple hours. We knew we had our backup plan with the Red Rooster to save face, right? Like we knew that it was all, the weight was on my shoulders, but I was trying not to let it get to me about trying to, but we go back to the pit. And what was funny is we kept watching the video in slow motion, and you're like, all right, I'm irritated. I'm just going to tear the head off and see what's going on. And we pull the 3/4 side off, and is it 3/4 side or one?
Yeah. So I thought it was a 3/4 side because we had already repaired cylinder 4 before, so I thought the repair didn't hold. But weirdly enough, how the air works under the car is I thought the flames were coming from the 3/4 side, but it actually torched cylinder 1.
Right.
Yeah.
And we spend the next, I can't even tell you how long I spent scraping the valve cover and the cylinder head. I mean, bro, they
would have never got it done without you, buddy.
It looked like it was brand. Like somebody came by, I was like, "Is that head new?" And I was like, "No, bro, I just cleaned it." So, but me and our boy, can't forget our boy Brandon, and
Brandon,
my man Sarf was in there, and we were helping out. You disappeared, which was super weird, and I think you were just kind of standing across the way, like waiting for me to get that valve cover scraped off.
I know. I was trying to find somebody to weld shit,
which it seemed like forever, but we got that on, got it back together, put everything on there. That probably took like 2 hours to get that on, and then when we pulled off the intake manifold on the left side, there was
it was cracked.
Yeah, there was a mount where the coil pack mounts on the side of the air intake, or on the side of the boost side of the pressure side, and right around the weld, it seemed like it cracked.
Yep.
So we're thinking boom, there's our problem.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And so we spent all that time. It's about 1:30 in the morning. We get the head back on, we get the car on the ground, and we grab this carburetor spray, just go ahead and get it started up, and we just crank it over. And Brandon's in the car, cranking it over, and out back you just hear
Yeah, there's a big so you wouldn't believe how big the hole was. I wish I would have got a photo of it before so Dan Lawson at Competition Engineering has my heads right now. But I mean it burnt all the way through the head stud hole and a good chunk of the combustion chamber, like a quarter size hole in the combustion chamber, dude. It's pretty wild.
Wow. Like in the combustion chamber, like next to the valves?
Yeah, next to the valves. The whole like the whole shelf, or people call it like the eyebrow or whatever, over the combustion chamber, over the valve was just gone.
Wow. That's
nuts. So it's going to be extensive to repair that head, but I mean finding another set, like as you've seen, just from, we're talking to everybody in the race community for the most part right there, and nobody had anything. So, and
those are Autocraft 910 heads. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, 910s.
Okay.
They're just, I mean, I'm sure somebody's hoarding some somewhere, but they're incredibly difficult to find.
I should have bought that motor that I sent you on Facebook not long ago on Facebook Marketplace. Did I send it to you? It was like a 2.7 liter in Bakersfield, and I was like,
you did not.
It was a drag motor, ARPM case, all stuff to go on, $2,700 for it. And I was like, I should buy that. And I was like, what am I needing?
You should have bought it.
Well, yeah. Now in hindsight, looking at it, knowing how expensive it is to get that stuff, it would have been it'd have been worth it just to get it to have for backup parts. You know.
Yes, sir.
So now, if anybody's got a good deal on some 910 heads, you got some land, any of you old racers got some laying around in the shop, hit me up at Let's Talk Dubs and let's get Johnny set up with a nice set of heads, right? I mean, it's worth asking, right? Throw it out there to the guys.
Mm-hmm.
So we end up doing that, and then there's no talking about the Medford weekend without talking about the Red Rooster, the Eco Tint Let's Talk Dubs drag car. And I mean,
Dude, you were doing so good until you got in your own head, man.
Well, that's just funny because the whole first day that I was testing, I was red lighting, and it's like I got a loose. And let's just be honest, right? That car had zero prep. So they talk about no prep
That car
street
needs
racing.
a lot of work.
Right, no prep street racing. We were just doing straight up no prep. That car has sat for the last 10 years plus in my buddy's shop. I get it. I tow it to my house. It's sat on the side of my house for the last year and a half. Yeah. And I'm just like, you know what, dude, let's do it. And so we grab that thing. And, I remember you're like, dude, just bring it. And we'll get it out there on the track. And I was like, all right, I'm game, bro. You know how I am. I'm all about just rubber band it together and get down the road. And, the first 3 passes that I made, I ended up red lighting all 3 times because it's funny. I don't remember doing a slow tree like that here when they do Midnight Mayhem. I don't know if they do a pro tree or if they do a slow tree, but the tree just really had me, it's one of those things that I equate it. Like if you ever golf and you're terrible at golf, like I am, and everybody's giving you advice. Oh man, here's what you should do. You should do this. You should do this. You should do this. And then I'm sitting there at the tee box, like, okay, hold a piece of paper on my arm. Don't bend my elbow. Do this. And then I just freaking ratchet the thing like it's just pure chaos, like Happy Gilmore out there. And the same thing was happening to me on the track, right? I'm sitting here overthinking it in my head. And I remember I was talking to, I go up to race the first time in Sportsman. So I decided to go Sportsman because the best time we get out of the car, first pass I do is 8:30. And I run that. After that, I get an 8:60 and an 8:70 after that. And then I was like, hey, want to check the car out, Johnny? And you're like, oh, let's check the timing. So you check the timing and
20 degrees of timing.
Right. I had 20 degrees. I'm not trying to hurt it. And and so you take the car out and you hit an 8:30 with the car.
I actually went slower than you. Yeah.
Yeah. You went like, a couple hundreds slower than me. But you had your advantage. You had timing, right? To make up for, your lack of skill. You put the timing in there, which was the Kapowie. And so the next day, I remember we're at so they do a chip draw the night before. So everybody does you get your test and tune, and you can kind of run back to back if you want, which is the cool part about that. I don't know if they're all set up like that, but I know that was pretty cool that you were able just to kind of, you could hot lap it if you wanted to and just keep going. So there was definitely plenty of time to get there. And I was just really disappointed that I kept red lighting bad. Like I'm half track before the light's green. And, I end up, you take the car down for a pass and then we just kind of park the car for the night. And then, I get up to the line for the first, we go to do the chip draw. And my boy Johnny Limnios says to me, that's Type 1 Overall on Instagram. You guys can check him out. He does he's actually getting his car ready for real street, as same as Mike Preston. And I got to give those guys a shout out because those 2 dudes came over and like they had a helmet for me. You had on that,
yeah, they had the catch containment pan and all that laying on the ground. Yeah,
we had a seat belt that I was missing, and I can't think of there's something else. But it was the helmet, the catch can, and the seat belt is really, I think, pretty much what I needed to run. And so now we're good. We get, I do my couple passes, test and tune, just to kind of figure it out. And I think, we go do the chip grab, and there's 18 in our class, and I grab a chip. And I remember Johnny says to me, he's like, dude, whatever you do, don't get Kaimi. And sure enough, they called, who got chip number 4, and it's me and Kaimi. And Kaimi, He's up in the Reno area, right? He's got a green bug, super consistent. I think he's won that sportsman division like 4 times, is my understanding. And so they said, yeah, if you're up against Kaimi, you might as well just get ready to put on the trailer because that dude's consistent. So I'm all nerved up on my first run, and I get up there, and first run was, and I just, all I knew is I didn't want a red light. I was like, I'm going to lose. I just don't want a red light this one. So, and luckily enough, I beat him. So he ends up, he's out. And that's the other thing that I dig about it, right? Is like the immediate eliminations, like boom, boom, boom. And so I make it to round 2, and now I got a Manx. And the interesting thing, right, because I'm kind of sizing up what I got there, and I'm like, well, this dude's in a Manx. He's got 48s with the big trumpets on there. I'm thinking he's got to have a 2276 or 2332. And I'm talking to the dude a little bit, and I'm thinking, and I look at his dial, and I'm like, how is this dude on an 850? Like, so maybe he's just going to pedal this thing and hit an 850 all day because there's no weight to those Manxes, right? And I line up next to this dude, and all I know, I didn't want a red light. And I cut not a great light, but I cut a light, but his front end went straight up in the air. So I beat him round 2, and now I'm going to round 3 of the semifinals, and I'm up against my boy Ricky Racer. And then then Paul Jelinas comes up to me. He's like, "Oh yeah, bro, Ricky's gonna mess with you at the light, bro. He's gonna, you're gonna stage, and he's gonna wait, and then he's gonna deep stage you." And this, and I just kept thinking in my head, like, and instead of just focusing on that, I think that's my mistake. Instead of focusing on the light, you know what I mean? I was too focused on other things. I wasn't even doing a burnout right. You know what I mean? I was Yeah, I mean, I was completely burning out different for some reason. And I watched a 360 video that I took inside the car, and all of a sudden instead of just sidestepping the clutch in the burnout box, I'm like feathering the clutch out. And I was just completely beside myself. Like, why am I doing something so stupid? Why am I reacting different when I'm just supposed to be running my race? So, long story short, I do one terrible burnout, Johnny's video, and he goes, "Yeah, dude, hey man, come back and do another burnout." And so I go to another burnout. I do the same thing again, and I hear you on the videotape going, "Oh man."
Yeah.
And then I go for it, and I break. Well, we don't know what's broken yet. Axle, transmission, but you're putting your money on a gear.
So it busted the motor mount, urethane motor mount. So like my guess is that when it busted the mount, the tranny jerked and the shift rod just pulled it out of gear. So it may have just like broke something on the main shaft, or but then again, we didn't really do too much investigating at the track. So I'll have the transmission out of it hopefully Monday and up to Rick to get redone. So we'll know here shortly.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know what happened. And so now you got plans and I got plans. So what's your next race you're going to hit?
So I'm going to be in Irwindale August 5th.
I think is there Irwindale this weekend too?
I don't know about this weekend.
Or is it next weekend?
I think there's something next weekend. I don't know a whole lot of the California schedule. I know that they're doing Steve Sherman puts on a race called Match Race Madness. So what they do is they basically pair up cars, you know what I mean, that are similar in time as far as what they would run in the 8th, and then basically it's like a best out of 3 grudge race. And then like when you win, like you get like a trophy, grudge fest or whatever they call it. So it'll be a pretty good time. There's a pretty influential dude in the VW drag racing world, especially Southern California. He's a heavy hitter, and we're supposed to be pairing up with him to see how our street car stands up against that race car.
So, and when is that going to be?
That's supposed to be August 5th.
Okay. And let me see. And that's August 5th. Yeah, because I saw somebody post something about Irwindale coming up here, and I didn't. I can't remember which one it was, but that's August 5th is going to be your next time out at the track.
Yes, sir.
And let me see here. Yeah, I was just trying to find who was doing what, because I just saw that there was something else going on at Irwindale, but I don't know. I guess I'll figure it out. So you're going to be August 5th, so that's in a month. And by
And
that,
then after that, we have a race. So our personal stuff, the no prep stuff that we do out here in Arizona, we got a race coming up. One second, I'll give you the exact dates. Give me 1 second. It's August 19th at the Tucson Dragway, and what that is, it's a legit no prep, but it's at the end of the track. No glue, water burnout, flashlight start. So we're doing a race there. And then October 22nd is our big race. That's in Casa Grande, Arizona, and it's a $20,000 guaranteed pot, 50 cars, flashlight start, winner take all. These are like some of the fastest street races from across the country, basically all coming together for this race.
and that's October when it's gonna be a little bit cooler out there.
Yes, sir. October 22nd.
And that's at the Tucson drag strip. You said?
No, so the Tucson drag strip is August 19th. It's a no prep event, and then if you guys if anybody has any interest in looking into it, Boost Addicts, the Get Down on Facebook. It has all the information about the race. There's going to be a few VWs. I believe the Clinks are going to bring a car out, and I from the rumors, Brian Marvin might be out there, so that would be a real good time.
Oh, nice. So you said
Yes, sir.
Boost Addicts is the group on.
Yeah, Boost Addicts with a Z, and it's called the Get Down, and it's a full website or Facebook page dedicated to the no prep racing in Arizona.
Nice. So Boost Addicts is where you're gonna get the information for that race, and the one you're doing. So let me just get those dates right again, because I got a lot of things going on over here. So Irwindale is when?
August 5th. August 5th.
August 5th, and who you running over there?
So it's either going to be Anthony Hearns or Mike Klink. So everybody's been trying to set up this race with Anthony Hearns for about a year now. And like I said, we never really did the track stuff, so I never put a whole lot of effort into it. But I guess we're just gonna go out and see how we stack up.
And then August 19th, you're in
Is Tucson.
Tucson.
Yes, sir.
And that I'm assuming that's a night race.
Yeah, it's a night race. It's at the end of the track. I mean, 100% legal, just like Stanfield, just like Casa Grande. Sorry, October 22nd. If anybody wants to come out and watch, it's 100% legal. It's on a private airstrip, basically an old crop dust strip, and we got vendors out there, food, drinks, anything you need.
Yeah, because I started thinking about that, and I started thinking, I really wanted to help out how I could with something like this, and I thought, what could I do here in Vegas? I know there's a couple small towns nearby that have a couple airstrips, and I didn't know if I could reach out, like cruise out there, see if I could rent the airstrip for a couple nights or something like that, because there's a spot not far out, not far outside of Vegas, about 20 miles outside of Vegas, called Sandy Valley, and I'm not sure. These got to be abandoned airstrips. You've never done a race at like a functioning airport, have you?
Not a functioning airport, but like the airstrip that we use is a functioning airstrip. So the old dude who owns the property, he was a cotton farmer, and they have a bunch of agriculture land out there, and he basically still functions as he crop dusts all the fields around there. So he's like a plane for hire, from what I understand. And that's the airstrip that we use. We use his personal runway. So his family, it's the coolest thing ever. So his whole family will come out because they live on property, and they'll come out and just watch us race all night.
Oh, wow. That's pretty rad. And I mean, on that stuff, that's a no prep thing.
Yeah, it's 100% no prep. Yep.
And is that all formal with, is like somebody's actually putting that event on, or it's all just grassroots, no disclaimers, no nothing?
So no. So this is 100%. So, a while back, Justin, a buddy of ours out of Casa Grande, Arizona, we weren't friends at the time. He got a hold of me on Facebook and was like, "Hey, we have an opportunity to use this airstrip. We would like to put something on." So I got in touch with a bunch of the Arizona guys. I said, "Hey, this might be an opportunity for us. Like, let's roll out there." So we go out to this airstrip, and when we first went out there, it was just a bunch of guys showing up to race. Like, there was no organization to it, whatever. So we had 3 races, and it was a really good time. It worked out well. So then he put on his first actual event. So Justin's become a little bit of a promoter, you know what I mean, as far as putting on races. So he's had a couple that stems from the airstrip stuff. He's put on a couple of the racetrack and led advice to a few other promoters out there doing it. And basically it's blew up. So this race coming up in Casa Grande, like there's full you have to sign the waivers for release of like you can't sue them when you crash and wad your car up or anything like that.
Right.
And I mean, it's pretty legit. So I believe it's like $20 per spectator. But I mean, like I said, it's well worth it. It's some of the best rates. So I gave you guys actually the wrong date. So it's actually October 21st, 2023, and it's like I said, it's a guaranteed payout. Guaranteed payout is $15,000 plus buy-in.
And
So I was wrong when I told you guys 20. I'm sorry.
October
21st.
October 21st is going to be the one that's going to be in
the big one, Casa Grande, Arizona. Yes.
And where's Casa Grande?
Basically in between Tucson and Phoenix. It's not a bad drive at all. I mean, it's like 4.5 hours from San Diego. It's about 4.5 hours from you. So I mean, it's not terrible as far as the racing.
Bro, but the real question that I think the people want to know: can the Red Rooster get off over there? Like, is there somebody the Red Rooster can take out, bro? I mean,
probably not. Just being honest with you, you'd have better luck in
so
in
it's just
Tucson on
it's
the 19th.
just big fast cars out there. It's not like
yes.
There ain't some dude in a Corvette that I could take out. All right, bro.
No, you'd be better off August 19th coming out to the drag strip because I'm just being honest with you.
No.
Well, they're.
Yeah, I don't want to waste my time, bro.
Yeah, it's not about wasting your time. It's just, yeah, you should come out because it's going to be awesome regardless. But
yeah, absolutely. No, I just, so all the guys that show up to run, they're all running big stuff. They don't have different classes, or do they have just the two different tire sizes?
Yeah, this one's just a small tire event. Like this is like basically, I mean, like I said, again, depending on who is listening, if they follow the street racing world or not. But I mean, like some of the biggest names in the street racing world is going to be there. Like you got Kelly Nate, you got Brent Aubrey, you got Sam Cherry, you got Matt Beal is going to be there. Like I know a lot of these names don't mean much to you guys, but you got a truck that's well known, Yoshi. You got I mean, Jordan Psyche's going to be out there, Mike Psyche. I mean, like I said, some of the fastest guys from across the country are going to be at this event. They're all coming to Arizona in the middle of nowhere because there's some serious money and there's some serious contenders. Those are just a few. I mean, we got 50 cars that are going to be there. So there's a lot of guys that have a name, but basically it's invite only. And if you're fast, you're there. They're not letting some car in that's going to oil down or, you know what I mean? Some dude bought it from a dealership and thinks he can race. Like these are real deal, no prep street cars. Like anything you've seen on YouTube, Street Outlaws, like a bunch of these cars have been on the TV shows, and it's going to be a really good event.
Nice. Well, I'm for sure going to make it to one of those events, man, just to come down to support and just see what's going on. So overall, we'll wrap up chatting about the event in Medford, Oregon. I mean,
oh yeah. Sorry about that.
No worries. No worries. It was a bit of a drive, but would you say it was worth it for going out there?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely go again. I mean, it was a really good time. And like I said, Jeff, like you touched on earlier, JK and Tom, they were more than like, they rolled out the red carpet for us, dude. I've never felt that welcome at a VW event. I'll tell you that, especially track racing. I mean, everybody came by. It was awesome to be able to talk with everybody and see the different setups and everything. And just like, it was a really good event.
No, I dig it, man. I mean, I'm looking forward. Unfortunately, the next one's gonna be the same weekend as my event. But if you guys are up there in the north and you're not coming to One Crazy Weekend, make sure you guys go to the next event they're going to be doing the same weekend as One Crazy Weekend. It's going to be up there. If you can't make it to One Crazy Weekend, go to the Medford Drag Strip and go check out the race that they're going to be doing over there again. That'll be a good time. But I'm sure Johnny and I'll be back up to that event, and I'm actually looking forward after. We had some problems with the Red Rooster, but we're going to get the Red Rooster dialed back in. And I'm looking forward to actually, I want to get that car where it's consistent and it can run and I can just go have fun with it. Like it's overbuilt and undertuned a little bit, like detuned a little bit. You know what I mean? So I can just focus on doing real solid starts and really having some car control. Cause then you just turn up the idiot knob, right? And just go crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to that. I was always really reluctant to do something like that and race because I know what'll happen. It's like now I want to do more of it, and it's another hobby I don't need. But listen, I already got the car, so I'm all the way there already. So now it's just the maintenance part of maintaining stuff. So with that car, we're gonna do some mods to that. As far as your car, you got the heads being fixed right now. So a shout out to our guy, Dan Lawson over there at Competition Engineering. If you guys need anything, any machine work, stuff like that done, is he the guy to go to in Phoenix?
Yeah, well, I mean, for VW like machining and work in Arizona, period, he's the guy to go to. For performance stuff, 110%. There's nobody better out here.
Yeah, Dan's been doing big stuff for a long time. So I know Scott's vert that he's got has got a CE turbo motor. I know that car on street tires ran at the track here in the quarter 1180s, a full dress convertible bug. So that's pretty fast for a full dress show car. So, but I think,
yeah, absolutely.
I think that would be, I often think like, how cool would it be if, we set something up where I often thought it'd be really cool to see guys that have cars that are all built to the hilt and all that stuff and actually get them on the track and run them. And a lot of guys are like, oh, I put too much time and effort to risk breaking the car. And those aren't the guys that want to go. But I want the guys that like have a car and want to prove something. But I also think what would be cool is if maybe for one crazy weekend before, they do have the power plant road out here. And John introduced me to the power plant road in my hometown over here. And that's where a lot of those dudes get down.
Yeah, it's a good time, man. And I mean, we can get enough VWs out there. If you guys really if you really set this up and get them out, like I won't race my car. I'll come out, I'll flag the race or something. And we can get a bunch of like, it'd be cool to get a bunch of little NA2 and whoever wants to run, just do a little cash days with VWs. I think that'd be pretty rad.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good time, man, to get out there and do something like that. Maybe like on a Thursday night before the event, one night before. Maybe we'll see some of the real street guys come out there and line up off a flashlight start. And what I kind of like about the whole street racing thing that you see on TV and all that stuff. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But what I like about it is that it seems like the rules are pretty no nonsense. It's pretty basic. You jump, you lose. You know what I mean? And you cross the line, you lose. Other than that, it's heads up, flashlight start. Is there much drama with that on the actual streets?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you got the guys who will screw up, but they'll say anything to try to get another chance, especially when there's big money on the line. And then, you got guys that'll straight up, they get caught, but they try to cheat. Like, they'll try to run a wider tire or, bend the rules as much as they can. And, there's a couple guys, like, you'll see if you watch enough YouTube, there's a few in particular that will literally cry, throw hissy fits till they get their way. And it's shit like that, stuff like that that kind of takes some of the joy out of it for me because I hate that crap. But for the most part, when you get a solid group, like we have a real solid group where when what the flagger says goes, you know what I mean? They got the final call. So if they call a jump, it's a jump. No arguing. And like I said, for the most part with our group, everybody knows what they're doing. So it's just a good time. It's mainly when you race with the, like our problem in Vegas is a lot of the local guys will get really, really upset when it doesn't go their way. And then it turns into a, all out brawl at the racing events. There's been a few of those up there.
So the dudes up here, like from your experience on the street cars up here that you've seen, because I got to be honest with you, dude. So after we did the first podcast and we talked, I never really watched a bunch of that street outlaw stuff. I watched a little bit of it, but it seemed to be more drama and there's all the build up between commercials and all that stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever. And then, after talking to you for a little bit and then, talking to my another couple buddies I know that race, I started watching a little bit and I ended up watching the season that they did here in Vegas. And I'm not.
So none of those guys on that episode are the guys we race with. They didn't pull any of the real street racers from Vegas. I can tell you that for a fact.
Well, and that's the thing, bro. I was honestly embarrassed for Vegas. I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? Like, because I used to go to street races 10 years ago and, 10, 15 years ago. And I'm sure some of those dudes are still around because when you're fast, you're fast. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm out there looking at it. And I was talking to your boy Jason you introduced me to, a local guy here. And and that's what I said. I said, bro, those are the fast dudes in Vegas. And they said, no, those are the dudes that wanted to be on TV so bad and would be, kind of, I don't know, on all those cars that you saw on that season that they were in Vegas. How fast do you think those cars are?
The Vegas guys, I mean, they're lucky if they're breaking out of the, I would say 630s on the street. I mean, they were not fast at all.
Yeah. All right. And then so we're talking about so those are not the fast dudes in Vegas, like
No, absolutely not.
and which kind of
Absolutely not.
like I said, the dudes seemed like clowns on the internet. Like just watching them on TV, I was just like, dude, that's lame, dude. I don't even want to go talk to them dudes. Now, with the guys that you race out here, that's a whole different crew of guys, and those guys travel. Like those guys go everywhere you
All
go.
over the country. Yep, absolutely. I mean, and more so. You know what I mean? There's guys that legitimately do this for a living now. So like Kelly Nate, that dude races every weekend all over the country. I mean, like he tunes cars in between, but that man literally makes a living on racing his car, and it's pretty impressive. When he shows up to a race, I mean, 9 times out of 10, you can pretty much bet on him taking the whole thing because he's just got it. I mean, this is his job. This is his livelihood. So I mean, there's guys that really are that committed, where they travel all over the country, one side to the other.
And if somebody wants to look that dude up, what's his name?
They just call him Cali Nate. If you look him up on social media, YouTube, whatever. I mean, like I said, arguably one of the fastest dudes in the country. Like, period. You can't take nothing away from the man. He works his ass off for it. So like there's a few out there. You know what I mean? Like Ryan Mitchell. The car was called KC Max. That was a very, very fast third gen Firebird. So I mean, there's a few that are like I said, travel over, extremely successful, and just all out good people. You know.
Now these, I just kind of peeped that dude on the internet. That guy's running an LS powered Fox body.
Yeah, that's the basic. That's the combination because it works, dude. I mean, I talk a lot of crap about Mustangs, but I mean, it works.
I didn't want to tell you this, Johnny, but I'm a former Fox body owner, and I do know that one thing those Mustangs like to do is 360s, and they definitely like to not. So these cars are built completely different as far as chassis wise, and with the slicks they stay straight.
No. Oh yeah, well I mean no, it's not necessarily the slicks. It's just I mean the rear suspension geometry on a Mustang is amazing for street racing, for racing in general. I mean it just works with a proper shock. But I mean
that's like a 4-link setup, right? Or it's a 3-link.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, because I had one of those one time, and they're definitely fat. They were fast back in the day, you know, and then as time's gone on, I just remember that traction was sometimes their issue, you know, especially on the street. But maybe that was just us being cheap kids with hard tires. So
yeah, hard tires is your problem.
Yeah. So you did some stuff. Now you're in the background on some of the Street Outlaws this season?
Yes. So basically, we go out there with our buddies and help out to race and whatnot. And like a good friend of ours, Brent Aubrey, he's got a car called Hate Train, Fox Body. If you look him up as well, he's really very, very competitive all over the country. So he did a full season for the Mega Cash Days, and we were out there helping him. And it kind of overlapped with filming on another episode. So I mean, we were all out there at the same time.
And so you're going to be, is the Gray Bug going to be on the next season of Street Outlaws?
So the Gray Bug aired on Locals Only, and it was filmed again. So it should be out August, I believe.
So August of this year, it's coming out.
Yes, sir.
And there was an episode that it already came out on.
Yeah. Well, no. The Locals Only, it's already been on. That's when the camshaft broke in the starting line. We tried to run it anyways on 2 cylinders. It didn't work out well for us.
Yeah. No, listen, hey, you came to race, right? We're going to race. So, well, that's rad. So you're going to be in this next season. When the episodes come out in August, we'll get to see the Gray Bug on,
yes, sir.
On maybe an episode or two. So,
absolutely.
We'll find out what happens, but, yeah, no. So you're getting your head fixed. Any changes you're going to do to the car, or you're just, I mean, right now you just got it back on the road and just got all that stuff was brand new, right?
Yeah. So, Curly Flores, he's on Instagram. He built the turbo header that's in the car. He works at ASM, Arizona Specialty Motors. And then, Garrett Turbos sponsored the car. So it's got the new Garrett turbo on it. We did a Fuel Tech, FT550 fuel injection setup on it on methanol. So like we were just working the kinks out. There's nothing wrong with the setup of the car right now. It was just it just lifted the head. It was a fluke thing. So we're gonna get that repaired and probably pull a little bit of timing out of it and go from there and start back over.
And the car feels. I mean, before when the car was here last year, the car was carbureted, right?
Yeah, it was a blow through carbureted setup.
And now the car is injected, and you feel a big difference with the injection.
All the way around, there's a difference. I mean, like wide open feel.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel as aggressive as it did with the carburetor, but I mean, everything else, it's just better. I mean, I was totally against fuel injection for a long time, but it was the right step for what we're doing. And I mean, the data logging, the power management, everything else, it's going to take the car to another level.
And how's the data logging been helping?
Absolutely, because at the end of every pass, you can see down to the millisecond what the engine was doing. Like literally second by second by second, you can see exactly what happened. They can break it down to like legitimately the millisecond. So you can see injector duty cycle, pulse width. You can see intake air temps. Like I have EGT sensors. I have exhaust back pressure sensors. So I mean, like you can see exactly what the motor did through every point of the run. I mean, it even has lateral G forces, and I mean, it can tell you how hard it left the line, everything. So the data alone, the knowledge you get from that is how you go faster. Because when you don't have that stuff, like with the carburetor, it was just seat of the pants. So if it felt fast, then it felt fast. If it felt slow, like you didn't know what to change or where to go with it, because it's sort of like throwing darts blindfolded. Wherever it lands, it lands.
Right. No, that's I mean, I was impressed. That car freaking got up and hooked, and for a car with with just big slicks on the back and no wheelie bars, which is always, it's funny because I look at the technology. I'm not a racer, and I just think like that like, okay, we just put wheelie bars on it, but then guys started thinking like just tweak the suspension so you don't need the wheelie bars.
Well, I thought it was funny. So we run a smaller tire than most of the Pro Turbo, Outlaw, or Ultra Pro, whatever they're doing for the Volks group. So we're running a smaller tire than most of the field. And it was funny when a lot of the guys looked at our suspension. I mean, you were sitting right there. They couldn't understand why we did what we did. But then once a couple twists of a knob, we gained a full tenth in our 60-foot. People are like, "What the hell is going on here?" So it was kind of funny to watch people when you explain it to them, like they don't really understand, but they want to.
Now is that like info you're getting from street race guys, like from the?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you shut up and pay attention when you're out there, you can just overhear the fast guys. So like a lot of them won't speak out loud because it's very secretive, the grudge racing. But if you pay attention, I've been around like hundreds of these races. So I mean, I've helped out with a few different cars. So like I kind of know suspension chassis setups from those cars, and then just learning with my own stuff is obviously the Volkswagen is going to be different than a front engine. A lot of the basic math of it's the same. You know what I mean?
Right. No, man, I'm stoked. I'm looking forward to getting my car back, and I know you're gonna do some things, help me out with my car, just kind of make it to where it's a little more basic to launch, and I could focus more on the light, and then we just after that we just climb the ladder of building power. Probably that's usually what's gonna end up happening, I'm sure. But yeah, I just my goal with that little red car is just have it be consistent and really be able to go out there and just have some fun. But man, it was all day racing, man, between the rounds and all that stuff. It was like there was not much time for anything else. So you're either racing or doing podcasts, man, one of the two. So
yeah, it was a good time.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going back, man, and hopefully we can get a couple other events. We can see what other stuff can kind of happen here, and I would love to see some straight ladder brackets done in the VW world, just some kind of no prep, that kind of stuff. But I mean, it just takes a certain kind of person to do that kind of stuff. I don't know, like I said, a lot of these guys will put that time, effort, energy in their car, and they want a predictable launch every time. And on the street, I'm sure you can get it, but you just got to understand the different landscape, so.
Absolutely.
No, that's rad, man. And if anybody wants to follow you, your Instagram is what?
62 Johnny 65.
All right, cool. And then, anything we didn't cover that you think we should cover?
No, I mean, like, I'm definitely down to get some cars together for the One Wild Weekend. Like, I think we should, basically, like I said, I won't race my car just because we're trying to get everybody involved. So, I mean, even if you got a daily driver bug and you want to come out and make a pass, I mean, what's it going to hurt to line up next to somebody else and have some fun? It would definitely be a good night.
Yeah, and if maybe we put our heads together and come up with a couple different class separations, like a radial tire versus a slick versus.
But how many people are going to be on a slick? I memean, you might have to go like 2 liter and not 2 liter. You know what I mean? Because most of the guys are going to be like a 2 liter with IDAs is obviously going to have advantage over a 1641 with a single Weber. You know what I mean?
Right. So maybe we could do a single carb, dual carbs up to 44, and then 48 and bigger. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a fun way to make it where dudes could show up. They could actually race on a quote unquote track, like out there at the power plant, and just roll up, get their one hit. If they win, they advance to the next guy, and maybe
if not, they're spectating.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I think it'd be super fun, man. So we'll see. We'll keep the gears turning on that, and maybe if some people want to help get that going, man, reach out to either Johnny or me on Instagram and hit us up and let us know that you're down to help make because I think that would just be cool for one crazy weekend to kick off with some drags at the power plant. I think that'd be too cool.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun.
So I know the Red Rooster will be there with the talons out, dude, trying to take some chickens, bro. So listen, bro, I'm game. You don't even know when I put that helmet on, bro. I'm a different guy.
Yeah, it was definitely a good time, man.
No, but I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to going back to some of that, and maybe we'll I might have to hit a bug in, possibly. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Hit some stuff down here and see if we can't make some things happen here in Vegas, man. Well, cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah, well, Johnny, for sure, man. So the next one you're going to be out to is going to be August 5th, and that's going to be at Irwindale.
Yes, sir.
So if you guys want to see the gray car, August 5th, head out to Irwindale. Tell Johnny you heard him on Let's Talk Dubs. Check out the car. Check it all out. Get all your info from him, and then go back home and build you once we get more fast bugs on the street, man.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
That's what I think. Well, cool, Johnny, man. I look forward to. I'll see you in a couple weeks, and we'll get all this. We'll get the Red Rooster back going, and who knows? Maybe I'll be able to buzz down there and see you over there in Irwindale.
Sounds good, buddy. I'll see you then.
Right on, brother. If you like that podcast, and I know you did, make sure you share this podcast with your friends. Copy your link at Let's Talk Dubs and send it to all your buddies. Share it on your Facebook groups. Make sure everybody knows what's going down. So remember, if you got a fast bug, hit me up, DM me. We'll get you more information on the Thursday night Johnny's Run What You Brung out here at the power plant. So we'll be doing a little quick ladder, a little money race for some of you guys out here. It could be a good event. So who wants to bring something to Vegas and run just before the one crazy weekend? So hit us up if you're interested. Love to get it going and get some of you guys out there. But don't forget, you want to support the podcast, go to letstalkdubs.com, pick up some merch, support the podcast. Come to One Crazy Weekend, October 6th and 7th. Don't forget to follow Johnny on Instagram at 62Johnny65. And then you guys can always follow me, Bill, at letstalkdubs.com or at Let's Talk Dubs. My email, Bill at letstalkdubs.com for any comments or questions or suggestions that you want to hear for a podcast. Got a lot of good podcasts coming up, so stay tuned for those. And until next week, guys, later.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen.